Hello everybody, I hope you are well, and in today's video I would like to speak to you about mindset of a software engineer. It's never easy to start working in a task where it feels like you don't understand very well the code base, you are new, either you start as a freelancer or maybe you are just new to the company, or it's a new part of a code base, maybe like a new microservice, and it's very hard for you to get you understanding everything. Like you have to put your head in and really understanding piece per piece, and sometimes you feel just lost. You don't understand, you don't have much colleagues you can ask to, and it feels like easy because like you don't really know what kind of questions you really have to ask. So you try to debug, you dig into the code, you test it, doesn't work, and the logic and the requirement for that specific task, it's also a little bit vague. Let's say your product owner is on leave and you have basically not a lot of people to ask about it. So you feel like, okay, what I'm going to do? That's like the feeling you have at the moment. And I completely understand it's not something easy to deal with, especially when we are not that senior. You might already have like a lot of years of experience, but in that specific context, in that specific task, the business logic doesn't feel as easy as it should be. So you try to split everything bit per bit. So you might just create a diagram to understand better, and you have a lot of websites. I can actually send you a few if you are interested to. Like for instance, I like the sequence diagram. So it's like sequence and then diagram.org. diagram.org. That one is really good when you try to visualize what you need to do sequentially. So bit per bit, per sequence, you want to know, okay, the user will start from there to there and then there to there. It's per sequence. So sequentially, you will draw something. And you use kind of a language to create the diagram, but it's super easy, super good. Basically, I really like it. And I highly suggest you to have a look. So if you want to create something sequentially, it's sequence diagram is really a good platform, a good website to try. But it doesn't matter. You may already have done that and you feel still lost. And when you don't really know where to start, and the only colleagues you could ask, you know, they also don't really know much about it, you can try to speak to your rubber duck. That's also an option. But the danger there is where you will slowly lose motivation. Slowly but surely, actually. You will lose motivation, you will be slower. And when we don't know where to start, what to do, we are just staring at our screen without doing anything. And that's not something really productive. And after the end of the day, you will not feel well. You will feel like, okay, I keep staring at my screen and nothing happens. And of course nothing happens, because if you don't fully understand where you have to start and what you have to do now, it's really hard. So the first thing is always drafting. Don't dig directly in the code, but instead on the whiteboard, pen and paper, like I said, sequence diagram, you will start visualizing and you will know what to start, what to do. So create a few sub-tickets, part of your main ticket or part of the epic you need to work from, and see what's the micro thing you have to do already. Now, okay, like I have an assessment of tickets and a few students need to assign their tickets. Let's say it's an e-learning platform, and they create an assessment where a teacher needs to review the assessment from the student. So you have two portals, one portal for the main teachers and the other portal for like reviewers. So they are not really like professors, but they can help reviewing the assessment as well. And if the portal of the professors, if that portal, they don't have any assessments left to be reviewed, we want to take some other assessments that are still in the queue for the reviewers, and we want to move those assessments to the professor portal. And that's what you have to do. It's just like an example of a task. So what you should do, well, when a professor requests some assessments, there are no assessments available, then check if that teacher is eligible to be able to see other assessments from elsewhere, from the reviewers. If that's yes in the database, we can have a metadata column where we store those fields as a JSON object. So it will be a JSON type in a metadata column. And if that property, that attribute from the JSON object can review assessments from reviewers, if that's yes, if that's true, then have a look to the reviewer's assessment. If there's one, collect the data from there, create a new assessment in the teacher portal, professor portal. You create a new one, it's been created, and then from the reviewers, that row you just moved to the professor new table. You update the table from the reviewers. You will need to change the status. The status will need to be changed to something like moved to professor portal. That could be a good one too. I'm just looking. Yeah. So yeah, then you will update the status to professor portal, and then the status will be same as closed. And then you create the new row in the table of the professor, and automatically there, that professor, the first who don't have any other things to review, will get that new row being assigned. So if there's nothing in that professor table, grab one in the reviewers table, automatically change the status, that status from the reviewers table to the status will be moved to professors or something like that. So it's being closed because the status is different, it's same as closed. And then you grab all of the data, you move in that new table of the professor, you adapt it. You may need a kind of a translator to have the data compatible in the professor table, and that's it. And that's pretty much the task. So just by thinking, drawing, and then you can implement, and that way you see much clearer and you will not lose motivation. So I highly suggest you to do that. Here, the idea I just made it up. At the moment, I'm working for a medtech company. That's why I said doctor, because I got a task, quite similar task last year, very similar. And I know how hard it is. So here I just made up something a bit similar. And just by thinking, you can explain that to your rubber dog if you wish, loudly, same as if you share your ideas to a colleague next to you, and you say, okay, I have this, so I might have to move that, then update this and this. Oh yeah, I have to do that. Oh, it would be better to use this design pattern instead, or that design pattern instead. And so that way you will build something cleaner and quicker as well, because then you know what to do. You see, this is the ability to understand better tasks and not losing motivation for nothing, for no reason. I wish you a happy day and see you in another video. Happy coding.